Well, it's time for our daily debate this evening, and tonight it's on our failure to embrace metrification. We got halfway through it, then stopped in the mid-70s. Did it really tarnish Britain's image as a modern, dynamic country? That's the charge today. Or does our system work perfectly well with its quirks, just a celebration of our quintessentially British way of doing things? Well, to discuss that tonight, we're joined by Derek Pollard of the UK Metric Association, authors of today's report, and also by Tony Bennett, who runs the campaign group Active Resistance to Metrification. There is a point, though, isn't there, that the metric system is so much more simple and logical.
The imperial system has a great number of merits, one of which that it's a much more human system and that we're much more familiar with as well. And of course, the metricators have been trying to get us to change for 40 years, but things like, for example, one's height is always given in feet and inches. And when the police are chasing a suspect, for example, they don't give their height in metric. They don't even give it in dual units. They want to go straight to the point. The suspect is 5'11" or 6'3", and we all know where we are, and we don't need to change.
1 mile is 1,760 yards. I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, but people don't need to know that. I dare say most people don't know that, but everybody knows the distance of a mile. They know that if a place is 5 miles away, they know roughly how far it is. They don't know if it's 8 kilometres or 10 kilometres. So.
Yeah, we're pretty good at living with this system. Are you really saying there's confusion? Because most people don't really seem to feel it.
Wherever we're running two systems in parallel, but wherever the two systems meet, there is a risk of muddle, of accidents, of people getting things wrong. Now, Tony mentioned when you give your height, it's in feet and inches. When you give your weight, it's in stones and pounds. But when you go into hospital, they want your weight in metric because prescription of drugs is based on your weight in kilos. You fill in your passport form and you have to work out your height in metres. So, as I say, wherever, and this is happening thousands of places in Britain at all times every day, wherever the metric and the feet and inches system, the imperial system, come into contact, there's always a risk of something going wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at some examples of this, in the Old Testament, Goliath was supposed to be 6 cubits and a spantle. We don't hear that too often. We mentioned metres, didn't we, heights and weights and everything. A furlong still lingers in racing, doesn't it? About 220 yards or 200 metres for you. Shipping, you get the nautical mile. That's still used. And we've already converted from litres to gallons. So, I mean, I still don't understand why you care so much, really. I mean, apart from the bananas.
Well, as I say, the cost is a key factor, and I think, you know, in this world where we're encouraged to be diverse, we're constantly hearing about diversity. What's wrong with a little bit of diversity? We are a bit different in a few ways, and what's wrong with that? I noticed that a couple of days ago we had a worldwide survey of 26,000 people which asked which was the most popular country in the world. Britain topped the poll, the best educated country, the country where people want to invest. Okay, we're a bit different, but why not?
Well, the UK Independence Party has called people like you metric fascists, and I suppose you might be called a Luddite. Are we Luddites in this country, do you think?
We're one of the most go-ahead nations in the world. I think we go for the things where we need to change. We're a very up-to-date country in many ways, but we value our heritage and culture as well.
OK, lots more emails. Alan Fluke said, yes, kilometres, please. How long can this nonsense continue? George said, yes, I agree, as long as Europe pay for the changes. It's not a problem to the English. It's another one. Richard Pickle said the metrification of road signs is just one more milestone along the way to the eradication of England. So there's a thought as well. What about this? How far do you go? Do we all drive on the right side of the road? Do we all speak the same language? Do we all have the same currency? Is that the end result of this, do you think?
There is a lot more to Britain's heritage than feet and inches. There's the Constitution, Parliament, the National Trust, English heritage. There is so much to be proud of in Britain. Why be proud of something that really puts us into the last century? Let's look forward as well as preserving the best of our heritage.
Ian Girling has to say we're not the only country that still uses imperial measurements, and I see no reason to follow the diktats of an organisation whose only intention is to change our way of life to suit theirs. I was born in the year of decimalisation and still can't picture a kilometre, a gram or a degree C. is that centigrade or Celsius? We're a lot confused on that one as well, aren't
But
we?
although he was born in the year of decimalisation, he's not saying going back to pounds, shillings and pence with 240 pence to the pound. If you suggested that to people now, they would probably say, no thanks. Yet probably at the time of decimalisation, there were many people like Tony Bennett today saying, well, we don't want anything to do with it.
OK, so apart from changing the road signs, what would we do with the car? Would we just stick a disc over our mileometer? How would we actually do it?
Most cars have kilometres per hour and miles per hour on the dashboard. One is slightly smaller than the other. The Irish said you've got to get used to reading the smaller numbers from now on, and that seems to have worked quite successfully. There was a campaign of education to tell people that 50 miles an hour is 80 kilometres per hour, and as in the Commonwealth countries 30 years earlier, it all seems to have been quite successful. OK, well, one final email from a viewer. You give them a centimetre and you get a kilometre. It doesn't sound quite as good, does it? So, Tony, you won't give an inch on this, and Derek, you won't give 2.54 centimetres. So thank you both very much indeed for your time.
Okay, thank you.